What is going on, Movie Meals? Movie Meals, we're back. Hey, we always come back. Go check out, we reacted to the Superman trailer. Go check that out. Thank you, Movie Meal patrons. Like, subscribe, comment, share. All that good stuff as always. But this episode's primarily about Andor. Been waiting to just chit chat about it. Go Phils. The Phils just had a player get suspended for 80 games for performance enhancing drugs.
Did you say 80?
80 games. Well, they play like 100
Jeez.
plus. They play like
They don't mess
180 or
around.
something.
Still.
Yeah. But anyway, let's talk
All
some
right.
Andor. This is all spoilers. We're going to spoil it up. We're going to talk about the show, talk about its greatness, some of this reception about it. We'll see if this is a long episode, short episode. We'll just kind of find out. But
We're going to shoot the breeze, guys. Buckle up.
Yeah. We're here to talk a little Andor. So, I rewatched all of season 1 right before season 2 came out, about a month before, and then so it's all pretty fresh in my head. This is one of the best things Disney has done. I saw one of those Jubilee videos, and it was like, would you rather erase something? And they were doing nerd stuff, and so it was like step in the one square, step in the other for which you'd get rid of and what you would keep. And it was, would you erase Mandalorian or Andor? And one guy stepped in Andor, and this was about halfway through season 2, and I was like, he's right. I love the Mandalorian. I love it. It's really good. So the last season dipped a bit, but overall very good. But Andor is on a different level, man. It was awesome. Yeah. Kyle, just give me your overall thoughts on Andor. We'll go off from there.
The show's fantastic. It's a fantastic show. Not just in terms of being part of this franchise, in terms of it being part of Star Wars, but just in terms of just a show that's hitting the right notes and doing the right things, in terms of making a story that feels cutting edge of the time, makes you care about characters, makes you intrigued by characters of all sorts. Production value is incredible on this thing.
So good.
And this is coming from someone, this is years ago now, but when this show first got announced, I remember scratching my head about the show being called Andor, focusing on that one character from Rogue One. I like Rogue One, but it's not like I have an affinity for all those characters. Excuse me, my voice is going to be bad today.
You're supposed to in Rogue One. I mean, it's a Seven Samurai style story. You're supposed to just be like, who are these guys? They're coming together from different backgrounds. Like, you're not supposed to have this deep-rooted, necessarily a big attachment to them.
No, I agree with that, but at the same time, kind of like with this show, it makes you... I don't think Rogue One necessarily still made me love the characters or remember the characters that fondly afterwards. So, but I flipped my tune when it comes to this show. They proved me wrong. They proved that they had a mission of not just making you want to care about the character of Cassian Andor, but just making you care about the rebellion side on like the ground floor, essentially, like the rebellion aspects of not just the fun space adventure of saving the galaxy, but just the root of people who have nothing fighting for the one thing that they could have, which is freedom and the ability to not be contained by a corrupt government, such as the dark side. So, forgive me. I'm getting so emotional about this show, but I think this show just does a really fantastic job at, yes, it's sci-fi, yes, it's fantasy, yes, it's make-believe, but finding a way to make the show feel serious without having to be bogged down into all the IP franchise stuff and tell a very riveting story that I think at the end could feel relatable to a lot of people, just speaks volumes to storytellers and how they can morph something from like an IP world or from their own brains into just something very special.
Yeah. Tony Gilroy, man, he's become somebody that's now really popular in the fandom. His son, I had heard his son was a writer on this show as well, Dan Gilroy, but I hadn't actually like looked it up. I was looking up while I was listening to you. He wrote Nightcrawler Nominated
Oh,
for
did
one
he
Oscar
really?
for Nightcrawler, yeah, which is cool. He's
Peop
written some other movies like Velvet Buzzsaw, which isn't very good,
Oh,
uh,
yeah. But
but
people,
man,
if you
like,
haven't seen Nightcrawler with Jake
oh,
Gyllenhaal, go watch
God,
that. Riz Ahmed, who was in Rogue One,
yeah,
also is opposite of him in that movie.
yeah, yeah,
God, yeah, that makes me
such
think
a
of
good
Sound of
movie.
Metal as well. Another great Riz
Yeah, yeah.
Ahmed movie.
Uh,
Anyway, that's awesome.
so the only not even negatives I've heard, the biggest thing, I guess. Let me ask you first: do you prefer season 1 or season 2? Which do you like more? If you got to put one over the other, which one are you taking?
I think I lean towards season one. I'll admit though, I haven't rewatched it recently like you have, but I
Interesting.
think season one for me just has a story that flows better because if I recall, it's not having time jumps like this one does,
No, but
that
that's what
this
I want to
season
get
does.
into. That's what I want to
Okay,
talk about.
well, I'll finish my thought real quick
Yeah,
then.
please.
I just think that story has a better flow to itself. But season two, I can't deny that there's probably way more episodes that have like the biggest highs of watching stuff that I've had in a while. While season one, and not that that's like the most fairest way to critique it or to choose, but
I mean, highs
just from
matter.
watching season two, I was like, I don't remember feeling like my chest pounding as
Yeah,
frequently as I did in season one. But
yeah.
I'll lean towards season one right now.
I've heard that from a handful of different people in the space. Not necessarily like not everybody. I think overwhelmingly people are more in love with this season. But I think the biggest thing I've heard is season 1 flows better. It is structured better. They don't do time jumps, and I argue a little against it because season 1 low key is kind of structured the same. The only difference is they don't do big time jumps. I mean, the first 3 episodes of season 1 is just about everything starting and him getting off. Like he goes back to Ferrex and then leaving Ferrex. Like it's all about him getting introduced to Luthen. The next 3 episodes are all just about Aldani and the raid on Aldani. And then
Mm-hmm.
the last 4, or I believe it's 1, and then the next 3 are all the prison break. Then we have the final 2 where it's kind of the culmination of everything, and we're going to fight the great speech in the finale of the first season, which is just incredible. So I push back a little bit. I think if you
Mm.
put time jumps in between those sections of 3, it would feel this like people would have the exact same reaction. And I think for season 2, if you took those the 1 year later away at the beginning and you just said this was all happening one after like one, continuously, I think people would be like, all right, this flows better. I really think at the end of the day, the show's always been structured as kind of massive events in 3 episode spurts. I do get and do agree that the time jump takes a little bit away, but I do not think it's a massive difference at the end of the day, like at all.
No, no, I wouldn't say it's massive either. Just more noticeable, I guess, in terms of how it all flows. But I do think it is still impressive that despite the time jumps, you never feel like you're left out of a story, or you never
Definitely.
feel. I don't feel like a lot of the story and how each like arc ends in this season really was unsatisfactory. In like, oh well, I wish I feel like I missed out on something about that arc that wasn't explained, or if
Everything
that makes
was.
sense.
And the finale cleared everybody's slate. Everybody got a good ending in this show, which is just awesome.
I thought episode 9 was initially the final episode, and that ends with K2SO coming into play. Um, so I
Yeah.
was like, okay, like that does tie into Rogue One, but that doesn't seem like the most satisfying ending. And then I learned the next day it was like 3 more episodes left, and I was like, all right, that makes way more sense.
Yeah. So the original kind of idea for this show, because I thought it was 9 episodes for the longest time too. That's what I had heard, and then I had right before the first one aired heard it was going to be 12, and then I just misremembered everything. But I lost my train of thought. I was going to say something before I got into the actual specifics of the episodes.
You were talking
Um,
about this, I guess, you thinking that the show was also going to end
oh
earlier. Was that what you're
yeah,
saying? Yeah.
no, I thought that at the beginning it was just 9, so I knew at
Oh,
the
you
end of
too.
episode 9 that there were more. Like
Mhm.
I thought right before the first episode came out, I saw a TikTok saying that it was 12 episodes, and then I looked and was
Oh.
like, oh, I was misinformed and had been spreading false news. But I I when this show was originally announced way back in 2017 or whatever,
No
2018.
way. Was it that long ago?
It was pretty quickly after Rogue One, and Rogue One's 2016, isn't it?
Holy crap. Yeah, yeah, that sounds
So
right.
COVID throws a wrench in everything. I mean, you have to count that. It can't totally be on Star Wars is real bad at this stuff, and that is definitely a massive amount of it. Like they've canceled everything and greenlit and canceled constantly. But COVID also throws a wrench in there. But I
Mm.
know his initial idea was to make this 5 seasons that had come out, that they wanted to do 5 seasons and each season was going to be a year. And then and I've heard people talk about that this show, season 2, is more of like all those ideas. And he said that eventually that changed, that yes, they were going to do 5 seasons, but it wasn't that they just took those 5 scripts and picked and chose. That was just their initial idea of what they could tell. And then when they were like, all right, we probably can't do that, we got to do a 2 season thing, they just kind of pick and chose kind of the arcs and stories and ideas they really liked that they wanted to keep. Apparently, he had a whole idea to do a K2SO horror style episode that was going to be like, I think him, K2SO, like still being an Imperial droid when he's cut in half on that ship. And it was supposed to feel like an alien style episode of like, where is K2SO crawling around on his ship and stuff. And they said the only reason they didn't do it was for budget, that it was just too expensive. Um,
Okay.
but
Hmm.
anyway, I think that is just interesting because I think they really did pull everything together. Um, I also had heard that they had shot a scene for the finale that they ended up cutting, where Mon Mothma was going to have a moment with her husband, where her husband admits that he knew what was going on with her, and that he had been interrogated every day about her and stayed true to her, and that it was supposed to be this soul crushing moment of getting to the end and her pushing her husband away, her family away for the good of the rebellion, to find out that she could have trusted him from the very beginning. And they chose
Hmm.
not to go that route. But I just think I like hearing this stuff. Tony Gilroy's been doing so
Yeah.
many interviews. I like hearing it because they came up with all these really cool ideas. To be honest, I could do a White Lotus style like version of this show. Pick another character and let's see, give me a season on them now and how they ended up getting towards some moments in Andor. Like I would be down for Tony Gilroy to just keep showing me the rebellion and building and these pockets that end up becoming what happens at the end. I'd be down, or anything else he wants to do, because right now he is our saving grace. But let's let's just talk about these per 3 episodes. How does that sound?
Yeah, dude. Fire away.
So episodes 1, 2, and 3, I thought were really good. When they kind of first doing everything, it's the wedding with Mon Mothma and her daughter.
Hmm.
Episode 3 ends with Mon just dancing like crazy, and that episode is
Yeah.
so freaking good.
Yeah.
Oh man.
The one
Um,
time where she feels like she can let go, even if it might be. It kind of felt like in that moment, it feels like some people are raising their eyebrows, like something going on with you, Amon. Like what's really going on with you? And she's just
yeah,
dancing like she just needs a release of some kind.
yeah.
Very relatable type of feeling, in
It was
my
like,
opinion.
yeah, no, it was like this is the, like, I'm gonna let loose. Like she knows her friend, her childhood friend, who has now lost everything, is going to be killed for the good of the cause.
Yeah.
Um, I just those 3 episodes are so freaking good. Like
I
it's insane. I like the stuff with them on the cornfield. I mean, this is the episode.
yeah.
The first 3 episodes is kind of the first arc where we get that moment where Bix is a somebody tries to
Is
sexually
assaulted.
assault her, and
Yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
assaults her, and like I think it's so good. They went so dark. They go so real on what rebellion and control of a government does at
Mhm.
that scale. It's just incredible. You chime in here, please.
I love the people in the woods. I
Kyle's
love.
always been a fan of the people in the woods.
I think they're hilarious. I love that they all just yell at each other. No one knows what to do. So that the only thing they know how to do is just argue with each other and bicker. I think it was I that was really funny to me. Obviously the other arcs that have like the heavier themes and stuff, or the all things considered, were also very engaging and powerful. But that arc just reminds me of the woods. It also might be the arc when it comes to like the story of Cassian that I probably like the least. It's not bad, but I'm not focused on that arc for him necessarily, which is fine. I think it's a
Just him
good
being
time.
captured, you mean?
Yeah, when he's
Yeah, yeah.
captured
Okay.
there. Um, which is fine, but I think it's a good chance to put a pause on him to explore everyone else a bit more. Because I feel like in season one, a lot of it was focused on Andor's character and his growth and realizing the contributions he should be a part of for the rebellion. Um, so I think to like start this season, it's kind of a good idea to maybe take a backseat because there's so many other aspects of the rebellion that he's a part of, but just hasn't been explored through the eyes of the other characters. That was well warranted, like the
Well,
stuff with Mon and the stuff with Bix, for example.
I think that moment is actually just as important for him as it is for everybody else.
Okay.
Because I think what he is witnessing, right? The forest people were two groups of people that did not like each other, that
Mm-hmm.
agreed to begin a rebellion under the leadership of someone who then gets killed, and then they escape. They don't know what they're doing. And I think for the
Yeah.
first time, Cassian is looking at what this chaotic rebellion that was talked about in season one is, and how important leadership thought is. And I think
Mm.
him seeing that ultimately helps his decision when Bix leaves him and he's like, no, this is more important. We need to, and like what is happening on Yavin, that we are ready. We are an army now. It is not these small pockets. It is
Mm.
not like we can't be that anymore. I think that moment is really important for him and everything else he goes through in that arc, and all the missions he takes following really, I think, play off of this. And especially when he gets on to why is the name escaping me, when he gets on to Gorman and everything that happens in those great episodes, because we're now I'm talking about 6, 7, and 8,
Oh,
those
okay.
incredible episodes on Gorman. He tells them, you're not ready for this. You're not ready. And it's because of what he just saw in the first episode. He's like, I just watched these guys tear each other apart because all of you don't know what you're doing. You are not prepared. And they're like, no, get us prepared. And he's like, you're not doing it the right way. You're not going to listen to me. There's no point. It's going to fail. And that's what we see happen. It's a setup that fails. And I think so those moments in episode 1, 2, and 3 of him being captured are really important for that, for his arc. I do
Okay.
think it does feel a little bit like it's more of a backseat. I do think they focus the most on Mon just in terms of pure screen time
But it
in
does
those
come
first
back into
episodes.
play.
Yeah. But I
Okay.
think, but I love everything else. I mean, the stuff with Bix
Sure.
is very intense. I love that planet that they're on. I really liked that some of the planets. That planet is so similar to Rebels, where Ezra's from, with the big wheat fields. Like I just loved some of the
Oh,
designs too of
right.
what we got in season 1.
Yeah.
Um, but
Can
yeah,
we can we talk a bit more about
absolutely
Bix? Because I just really like that character.
same.
Um, I think that her journey was certainly a surprise for how the character is utilized, but it is, like you were saying, Alex, a representation of like that disgusting control of power and like the awful things that those in power can do to a person without power. Um,
Mm-hmm.
and I love that it kind of became a revenge tale for her that Cassian was also on board with. I really like that he was, because I thought it would have been in the direction of him saying that that's probably a mistake to like try to have revenge just because it could lead to like a trap or to us getting captured or something. But I really liked that he was on board with her doing that. Like it just made
Yeah.
the fist pumping of like
Yeah.
rooting for her all the more powerful.
I mean,
Um,
for her character to go from being tortured in season 1
Yeah,
like
yeah,
her
that's
mind just getting obliterated, and then you see these moments where she's finally somewhat at peace on the run, but
mhm.
somewhat like we have found something decent here, and then
For
it's
all that healing to be torn
yeah
down again.
to
Yeah.
yeah, exactly. But anyway,
Mhm.
continue.
Uh, you and I were talking as we were watching, um, as we do, and we were like, we love Bix as a character. It's a real shame she's gonna die. Because
And
just
I
the way
love that though. That they
that
set that up for that. That's the thought, right?
mm,
That she's gonna die. That's why we were joking about it. Like they're setting it up for her to die. We know she's not gonna be in Rogue One, so
hmm
it's got to go that way. And then the way it happens, I think, is awesome because it subverted the audience's expectations and
yeah.
is even more soul crushing.
I was gonna say, as messed up as it kind of sounds to be like, oh, thank God she lived, but it is more soul crushing that she leaves.
Yeah,
Although the way that it ends with seeing her in the fields, feeling like there is a sense of a peace for her, but she also has their child was just like, that's
it was
just
Kyle. That was
beautiful.
Star Wars. That is Star Wars. It was
Yeah.
the scene of. It's the scene of hope. It's Luke looking out on the twin sons of Tatooine for something bigger than this, to fight, to be more. And
Yeah.
I think when she is doing that with holding his son, that is saying this is their version of hope.
hmm
And what Cassian died for is going to live on through their kid.
You're
And I'm
right,
glad
man.
we went back there, so I got another shot of B2 because that little droid, if they didn't come back to that little red tank, that unit, in
Oh, yeah, yeah.
B2, I was going to be so mad. I was ready watching the finale being like, if they don't bring him back and give me something, show
hmm
me that he's okay. Because the last thing we saw is he's sitting there going, I want Cassian. And I was like, like, they created such a great droid in this show. I love him. He is such a cool, fun droid. Um,
Want to go
yeah.
to the next arc?
Yeah. So then we get episodes 4, 5, and 6.
hmm
That is where Luthen, that's Cassian and Bix. They're at the safe house
hmm
interacting. Luthen is
Scheming.
starting to scheme on Gorman. We've got Willem on with Saw Gerrera, kind of helping him with the gas that he's just huffing all day.
God.
Um, if there's any true weak arc, I think in the show it is Saw Gerrera.
I I
Um,
hate Sakurera. I'm just gonna say it. I hate that
why?
character. He's just annoying. He's annoying. He's not interesting. I don't care. I see him in Clone Wars. I see him in Rebels. I see him in Rogue One. I don't care. I don't like him. Thank God he dies in Rogue
He,
One. Whatever.
he has
I
been
don't care.
he has been not
I
utilized to I
will
think the
have my
potential.
revenge.
I I
Hate
don't
it.
think he's utilized to the potential that they show him in Clone Wars.
It's the
Because
dark saber
he
thing all over again. It's not cool. He's not
his
cool.
story in Clone Wars I like quite a bit. The story of his sister and everything and why he gets in and becomes the rebel that he is. But I
Fine, but he
do
overstays
think
his welcome.
and it's nothing to Forrest Whitaker. Forrest Whitaker's an
No,
Academy
he's yeah,
Award winning actor. He's great. He's doing what they want him to do. But the character overall is
not a
just
shot at
like
him.
it's just an okay character that is kind of the weakest parts, but
Yeah.
he does have some big moments. I mean, his moments with Willem where he's talking about the gas and what it means to be a rebel and the story he's telling, I think is one of the better moments in the entire show. I think that speech is awesome.
Yeah, that's true.
So
Forrest
he does
Whitaker's the
have
man.
some really, really good moments, but overall the character
Mhm.
has not had these great aspects. The best parts of episodes 4, 5, and 6 to me are all about Dedra and Cyril. It's all about them. They
Let's talk about this.
shine them together like they end in season 1. Oh, I love when they're together. I love all the scenes with her meeting his mom. Him laying on the
hmm
bed is the most relatable moment I have seen in years. Are you kidding me? Like that
That's
is
the
just so good.
that is the impressive part of Deidre and Cyril. There is a relatability to them, even if they're on the side of fascism.
Yeah.
I just I can't even I don't even know how to describe it with those two, but um I guess with Deidre, her arc of feeling like she is on the right side of history no matter what, but shows a little bit of the doubt in between moments, at least in my opinion. But Cyril has is trying to be that, so I think that's why like he has such respect and admiration and even love for her. But Cyril, you obviously see that there is a lot more complexion with what he wants to do for himself. Does he want
Yeah.
to have this big important role in this big important government,
Yeah.
or does he feel himself? Does he see that he's on the wrong side of history and he's trying to like fix that in a sense?
And that happens
Yeah.
more in the next section of episodes, the next year,
Hmm.
because he's in these episodes he is not, or he has moved to Gorman in these episodes, but he is like what is, first of all, I want to go back. I guess it is in season 1 or the first 3 episodes, the first section of episodes, where I do really love that scene, and I saw a clip of him talking about that scene where he was told, what would you do if you were actually in this situation and you left the room? And he literally was like, I would literally just lay on my bed. Like I would just sit there in self-doubt. And I just love that moment. I think it's really
Hmm.
funny. And it's big for Dedra to be like, look, this is what's happening. This is what's happening with your son. This is what's going to happen in the future. I will make sure he contacts you, but I need him. He is important to me. And I think that is very telling on Dedra. So then we do move into these 3 episodes, in episodes 4, 5, and 6, where we learn what they are mining, that they are after something on Gorman, that the planet is not a mining planet. That is not their export. They don't even know it's there. We see this starting to build. We're seeing what this is going to lead to. And what I think is really interesting of the whole section is, one, again, it's Cassian going to Gorman being like, you're not ready for any of this. And then it's also Cyril starting to see what rebellion is. He's seeing what
Yes.
it means to be down on the ground. And it does start to lead to the question of, is he becoming a rebel? And I don't
Hmm.
think any of that is hitting for Dedra yet in these first 3. But what we do learn in this section of episodes is that Dedra is playing him, and that
Hmm.
he is not to know what's happening down on Gorman. And it's just that they're scheming, and that he thinks he is a bigger piece than he is. They do make him feel like he's a bigger piece, and that's really important.
Yeah.
But these are the 3, I think, out of all the 3 pocket episodes, it's these 3 that are the weakest, but they are also the most setting up. They set up everything that pays off in the next
Sure.
3 episodes. Um,
But how many times in shows of recently of recent where we don't get that feeling of satisfaction, even if they are weaker episodes? Like I feel
True.
like because of that, audiences kind of forget that it's okay to have
Time.
filler episodes or time just to lay out groundwork. Even if it's not the most exciting groundwork, you can still write to where it's interesting and has something to sink your teeth into. I would say those 3 episodes are a good example of doing that for writing
Yeah.
shows.
And I wouldn't call them filler. They're definitely set up. They're not
No, that's
random side plot. Like, they do matter.
yes.
Um,
I'm using the term filler loosely.
yeah, yeah.
It's not the great example here, but just as a generalization.
So let's just jump to the next pocket, because that is all set up. We do get
Okay.
I believe episode 5 is, or is it 6, the finale of that arc
It would
is.
be 4, 5, and 6. Yeah.
Yeah,
Right.
yeah. So I believe in episode 6 is where the people of Gorman do an attack, and they do mess with one of the weapons depots that's coming in, and that's where Cinta dies. And
Yes.
I can't remember the other one's character's name. Vel.
It was Vel. Yeah.
Vel. Yeah, yeah. When Vel and her are there to set up, and it's
Hmm.
what matters, I think, too, in that is the fact that he sent Cassian first and then sends them, has shown that Cassian has truly become the guy for Luthen, that he is the rebel that can truly get this stuff done. But
I mean, that's why Luthen. I just remember like Luthen coming up to Bix after Cassian leaves for that one side mission or whatever, and he's like trying to. If I remember right, Luthen's kind of like trying to keep convincing Cassian to be a part of this thing because he probably senses that Cassian wants out.
yeah, starting
Yeah,
to.
it's a
And
good moment with Luthen about how he's on the right side of good, but he's still deceptive. You know,
yeah,
it's
exactly.
I just remember that moment, but I'm sorry to interrupt.
No, you didn't interrupt. I loved it.
Mm.
But I think though that moment's important too because it goes back to Cassian seeing your boys, your woodsy boys, and
Mm-hmm.
in the first 3 episodes, coming to Gorman being like, "You are not ready for this," only for Luthen to just send the next group to there to help them, for Cinta to get killed because they weren't ready, and the kid who was told don't bring a blaster brought a blaster.
Mm-hmm.
And a regular citizen is like, "What the heck are you doing?" And he's like, "All right." And then it turns into this moment of, you are not together like you think you are. You
Mm-hmm.
aren't. And even though it's not, it's, the other guy's not an ISB agent. He's just he wants to know what's going on his planet because he believes in his people.
Mm-hmm.
For that altercation to happen, leads then into these 3 great episodes where he starts the song that's very, very good. I mean, it is. I've
It's a
seen
good
people
song.
be like, "This makes me want to rewatch Les Mis" for those moments where they do things like that in their
Yeah,
rebellion, and it hits. But yeah, let's get to these 3 episodes.
let's
I
do it.
truly believe episodes 8 and 9 are some of the best TV of the year and some of the best I have seen in a while.
Episode 8 rules.
It's
It
so,
just rules.
oh, it's so good. It's so good, Kyle. It's so good. So this is all the stuff on Gorman. They set up, so they've already
Mm-hmm.
had a massacre on Gorman. There's a monument built to it in
Mm-hmm.
the town square. That is a Legends moment. It's that they're bringing into canon, that it was in an older story. I don't remember which book. I think it's one of the Thrawn books where they talk about how Tarkin does this, but I could be completely wrong on which book. But it is
Okay.
now a thing that Tarkin open fired on people on Gorman.
Mm-hmm.
And now they're setting up something. They have the cameras there. Everything is set up for them to be mad, and they surround them, and we get this insane moment of what rebellion truly is and what the Empire will do to sway public perception of what is really happening. And this is all for things for the Death Star. And it's just so they can get the minerals, the kyber crystals, everything they need to build the Death Star. And man, these episodes are good. So I'll let you take over from here. What yeah, start me focusing in on these 3 episodes, Kyle.
Uh I can't do all 3 episodes. I only think about episode 8, man. I just think that is like easily one of the best episodes of the show. Um it almost feels like the climax to the show, at least for me personally. I don't know. Then again, maybe that's also because I thought episode 9 was the end of it, so maybe that's still a part of it. But I just was very impressed by the structuring of the episode in terms of the writing. I thought it was very impressive how I never felt tired of um, being in this one location throughout 50 minutes of an episode. I think it was just very impressive direction. But on top of that, I think writing wise, it does a great job. Or I should also say editing and production wise as well, because there's
Everything.
always just this almost nervous heartbeat that's coming out in like the background to me throughout that episode, whether it's like through the music of them singing the songs or just like the score of the music in general, just having like the right beats to where
Yeah.
it gets your heart racing, intense moment. And just feeling that inevitability of it all going to crap is heartbreaking, but it's also just sadly fitting at the same time. And the what I wasn't really expecting was the confrontation between Andor and Cyril, because Cyril's also having his own discovery of like, I have been kept in the dark, especially from Deidre, more than I ever realized. So just to see his evolution of his pain being torn between like these two worlds of like, what am I supposed to do? And then he's trying to release it on Andor, who in a weird way is like to him is like a catalyst for the journey that he's gone on.
Yeah.
Only
Exactly
for Andor to look back at him and be like, "Why are you beating me up? Who are you?"
Throw in the Thanos move.
It's and then just shot in the head, man. It's sickening. Like
Yeah.
it's even though it's a character on the wrong side of things, you can't help but just be sickened of like no one wins when you live in a world like this. No one
Yeah,
lives when you live in the universe where you
exactly.
have no free will almost.
100%.
Um,
I
yeah, just that it's just a great episode that explains that in a nutshell. It's
Yeah,
perfect.
episode 7 sets it up. It is starting to really show you that Cyril is a pawn. He is starting to really realize it.
Yeah.
His place has been bugged, all these things.
Hmm.
And then you get to episode 8 and the big moments. It starts as soon as they all start marching on the square. Okay, they've let us in. They're letting us in. Everybody wants to go protest. Let's go protest. Protesters arrive. This is all part of their plan. Surround them. Then they make it where they have put a sniper on the roof. They wait to the moment. They take one guy out. It turns into this chaos. You get them
Yeah.
singing their song, their anthem of their planet and their
Yeah.
people, and it's just a moment of, we're not going to take whatever you are doing here. We know that there are mining on Gorman, that you are mining for something. And even Cyril is like, those are rumors. That is not true. They're not mining for anything. We're just building a weapons depot. Like, we're not doing any mining. And then he finds out that that is not true. And he has been a pawn. And you get that moment where he grabs Dedra by the neck. Like, it's an insane moment.
Yeah,
All
man.
his frustration is out. And he is in that moment really realizing when he speaks to her that he has been a pawn. The woman he loves has been treating him like a pawn. He doesn't know what's right and wrong anymore. He has come to know these people over the 2 years or so he's been on Gorman. And I think his focus is just so good. He's our eyes during this battle, really. Like, it's his story. It feels like we're following more than anybody else's as everybody comes together. And
that's kind of the thing with Andor. It's not really about Andor. He's not really our eyes. He's almost just everyone else is almost the eyes.
honestly,
That's the sense
mark
I've
of a
always
good
gotten.
show. It's a mark of a good show. That's what made Game of Thrones work in its time. Like,
when
that's
every
what
character
Succession was so great about. Yeah, like
Yeah.
Succession, it was, we're not really following one, we're following many. And
Sure.
so then you get to, I think, like, when the fighting begins, he knows he's a pawn. He finds out that they are mining something that he doesn't know about. She even says, you didn't seem to mind the promotions, and now he's conflicted. He's like, I do like the promotions, but I think he is in that moment questioning where his loyalties lie and questioning everything. What has everything brought me to? Like, I thought I was with her because, that we were going to rise the ranks together. And that's not the truth. This is the woman I love. I've left my mother for this. Like, I've left, everything has come, like, not gone the way he thought it was going to with the work and effort he put in. And then, like, his whole transfer is all, he thought he was a spy for them, and he's really not. He's just there to set this moment up. The fighting happens, and he is witnessing it. He doesn't, that's such a good shot because he's just looking around. People are dying like crazy around him, and he's looking around because he truly is, like, I think in that moment, accepting that, like, it just, nothing matters, like, at this moment. And that's when he locks eyes with Cass, and he sees Cassian. And I think in that moment works so well because it's not a release of, I think in that moment, seeing Cassian, he is like, you, for a split second, it's, you are the cause of all of this. And it's all the anger he has towards Dedra, towards himself, towards his mother, everything we've seen over a year, or the season and a half now, or almost a full 2 seasons, he unleashes. And that fight scene is brutal. It is something like it is nothing that I think we have seen in Star Wars at this point with Disney. Like, it is brutal. It is like, honestly, the closest thing I can compare it to is like the first couple seasons of Netflix's Daredevil. Not even the Born Again. Like, it is a brutal fight.
Right.
And
right.
Cassian is like, when you get to that moment, who are you? And the way he says it too, he has, like, legit he's legit questioning him. Who are you?
He's just confused. Like, it's not
Yeah.
anger. It's just like,
and I think,
what
but
are you
the way
doing
he words
here?
it is not only a legit question, it's like desperation. Like he's not only saying, who are you? It's why are you, like, I don't know you.
Mm-hmm.
Why are you brutally, ruthlessly attacking me?
Yeah.
Nobody here should know me, but just a
Mm-hmm.
couple of people.
Yeah.
And then you see it, and you see him lower the blaster, and you see the look on his face. And I think that in that moment, Cyril realizes that he wasn't attacking Andor because of what Andor has actually, that he
Yeah.
is the reason he is kind of where he's at. It is him realizing that all this hatred he put on himself. And this is all because he didn't listen to his first boss to go after Cassian. He has become a pawn. He has seen what rebellion is. He's not an empire. He doesn't want to be an empire pawn. All those thoughts come into play in that moment, and then they do it even better, and they take him out by the guy that he just had a confrontation with, where he's like, you are mining. What are you mining? He's like, those are rumors. None of that's true. And they like
Mm-hmm.
argue about it. It's such an incredible moment, man. What do
Yeah.
you take it? Jump in here.
No, I've already spoken enough about that moment as well. I like your viewpoint on it too. I think easily that arc is just a sad, tragic, but a fitting cap on Cyril's arc, unfortunately. I almost do wonder if he was alive, if he would have been part of the rebellion, or if he would have just run away and hiding somewhere.
Yeah,
I
it
don't know
makes
if he
me
would have
wonder.
stayed with I don't know if he would have stayed with the Empire, but he either would just be in hiding or he wouldn't, or he'd be a part of the rebellion. I almost think hiding. I
Yeah,
think he would be hiding instead.
I think he would try to go to his mom. I think that's what he would ultimately have done to get clarity. And then when he realizes mom doesn't give him any,
I don't
it
think
was
it wouldn't be clarity, but I think he would still put up with
yeah,
it.
yeah. Um, yeah, that episode is so good. I want to.
It's my favorite.
I haven't
Easily.
yet, but I plan to rewatch at least just those 3, 7, 8,
Mm-hmm.
and 9. I might rewatch the whole show.
Episode
But
9 is just heartbreaking again because,
it's
Bix
so
leaves.
good.
It's
So
sad, but it's good.
And they bring the Force in the right way.
Walk me through that. Why do
The
you think
Force
so?
healer. The Force healer who half the people on base are like, Cassian is like, this is a bunch of load of crap. Like, she is a Force healer. Like, the Force is now really, truly considered a myth.
Yeah, at this point in
most
time.
people.
Yeah.
Like, and half the people probably didn't believe it until a Jedi showed up on their door anyway before the fall. So it's like, I love that moment. And I think Bix is tapping into the Force a little bit because she is saying, like, I see in my vision, she's like, at night in my dreams, I see you doing great things. And that is what the Force can do. And the Force can be tapped into by anybody. And she is just tapping in enough to get small visions that all she is seeing when she is asleep is that she is seeing parts of the future and how important he is, because he is going to ultimately put them in a position for Luke to take out the Death Star. And I think that is all brilliant. And she realizes and she knows, because I think she is briefly tapping into the Force just enough to know, and then have the Force healer confirm what she's thinking, that they have this talk how important he is, that she isn't really that strong in the Force, but just, I can tell he's important, that most people, when I touch, I can feel what the kind of who they are as people, and I can tell that he is important. And it's heartbreaking that she leaves him. And then you get him going and taking Mon and saving her after her epic speech, and she has now become a martyr.
Oh, man.
And
yeah, we need to talk about the speech, dude.
the speech is incredible, man.
Yes. I can't believe I almost blanked on that. No,
Take it.
I think that episode 8 is Cyril's moment in a sad way, but Mon's moment is episode 9.
It is.
And where she finally is like fully on board with the rebellion.
It really is her moment that Cyril gets, in a way. It's her
Oh, okay.
frustration. It's her
Yeah.
pain, but she puts it into what she knows, and that is making her speech. And I mean, she is
Hmm.
so nervous. She's practicing it, and like it's a similar type of moment in a way for her, I think, where it is everything that has come is to this moment. She's not sure who to trust. Does she trust Luthen, who killed her friend? Like all the. Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you, but
No, I like that you are doing much better job at contextualizing everything compared to me, where I'm
Kyle, I
just
haven't
spouting
thought
off.
about anything else
Yeah.
except ticks in my life the last 3-4 days. Are you kidding me?
um, no, I like this episode feels like a political thriller. I really
Yeah,
like how Mon, as she progresses in her speech, like I at least for me, I felt like she was gaining more confidence and
yeah,
she was doing the right thing. I
letting it
think it's
out.
her accepting that she's not going to have the life that she has anymore. Um, and she's almost like coming to peace with it.
And
And
everything's built to that moment.
yeah, I think it's fun that Cassian Andor and her sort of meet. This is a situation of how they meet up because that was always like a question I had throughout the show is how do these two meet up? I think it makes sense for how the story progresses. I think like the one thing I wish would have been a bit better is seeing them have more of a build of a relationship of some kind, just in terms of like a working partnership and her leading charge on like the rebellion and stuff like that. Not a relationship of like any other kind, just for clarity's sake. But yeah, I still like how they meet just through like the whirlwind of escaping out of there, so that way
Yeah.
she's not assassinated.
And that
Um,
Bail
yeah.
Organa's crew, he's like, I'll get you out.
Mm,
And that his crew was compromised, and that she wasn't sure if she believed Luthen when he knew that they were compromised. And they had an ISB agent following Bale and a part of this, and he's
mm.
like, and that moment where he says, I have friends everywhere, and Luthen told Mon, my friend will tell you that he has friends everywhere. And as soon as he says it, and she just looks at him like, I got to go with him. And I think the best moment of the whole thing is when they're walking and she is like, "Oh no," and he's like, "What? My driver? He's an ISB plant. What's your driver's name?" Like Cassian didn't hesitate. What's the driver's name?
He's too
Because there's
good
so
at it
many
now.
people around. He's not sure who the driver is.
Yeah,
She says it. He yells it. The guy clearly responds, and without hesitation, takes him out.
yeah.
Because that is what rebellion has to be in a way. You have to do some of that dirty stuff to win the day at the end to get to this, and how important Mon is to everybody on Yavin and to the
Yeah,
rebellion in general. And
no,
that
the
whole
dude.
moment is so good.
I think that also weirdly shows the evolution of time with this show, um, because there could be a case of if this wasn't strung out like year to year or had like a long timeline that this show has, like maybe would feel like he's not quite there yet in terms
Yeah.
of being that type of character to take that shot.
Yeah.
Like
I think that's totally fair.
he is kind of like that in the beginning, but not for like but for himself, not for like the rebellion.
Yeah.
Um so I don't know, maybe that little nugget is like useful for the how the show is structured. Like maybe that does work well for the character. Although he has gone through a lot of crap at this point that maybe I'm
Yeah.
just kind of looking at a bit too much. But no, I really like that moment too. I think it shows how much how into this he is, like how
Yeah.
big of a deal he is as a part of this whole thing. Um,
Cassian will do anything for a brown haired baddie. Jin?
yeah,
Nix? Come on now.
yeah.
We all would. Uh,
I Star Wars is hot, man.
Star Wars. Hey, I've looked at Jabba. You don't got to tell me. Are you kidding me? All right.
He pulls baddies, sure.
So those episodes are so good because we are getting towards the end of our pod here. But as those episodes are
Let's talk
so
about the
good, as
last
we
three.
jump into the finale,
Yeah, let's do it.
my thought going in was like, this has to lead right up to either he leaves getting the mission that ultimately leads him to Jin in Rogue One, or it's going to lead all the way up until he breaks Jin out of her prison that she is in, or her confinement, and that it ended up being the first one, that he It's him leaving on the mission where he shows up at the beginning of Rogue One being like, getting that information about everything that ultimately leads him where he goes. So I think they ended up really well. So that was my thought going into these last three was like,
Yeah.
okay, it's got to be all about that. And boy, was I pleasantly surprised for it to be almost exclusively about Luthen. I loved it. I thought those last three episodes were so freaking good. I still
Mm-hmm.
think episodes 8 and 9 are the peak of the season and how good it gets.
Mm-hmm.
But man, I think episodes 10, 11, and 12 are right there too. Like they're
Yeah.
really good.
Yeah, I was pleasantly surprised by it being Luthen focused, but I think it would have been frustrating if he was a bit too mysterious of a character, weirdly enough. Even though like some Star Wars characters I like that they are mysterious, like Boba Fett until recently was kind of like that as an example. Um but I think for this show and his involvement within the show, I think I needed just something so that way I could be left on a note of like of
Well,
just
conclusion.
appreciating that character.
Yeah, conclusion. Because you
Yeah.
didn't know what they were going to do with him. We hadn't seen him much in the last three episodes beforehand. He's just putting people on Gorman.
Mm.
So I think we get just enough of the backstory with him and Kayla. And I think that is enough. And like what the rebellion, like we got to see a brief moment of how it started because it harkens back to his speech in season 1 where he's like, what have I given up? I've given up everything. You have no idea what I've given up, what we have to give up. Like it's so good. Sorry, I'm cutting you off. I'm just
No, keep going, man. Keep going. You're good.
I
What do you
just
got next?
I just think that whole moment is great with him. With first of all, it sets up Dedra for a heartbreaking ending for this character that we low key kind of like for being an ISB Imperial,
Right.
shill, if you will.
Yeah.
But for her, I can't remember the character's name; it's slipping my mind. But the guy who is a plant, who is the ISB plant for all of them,
The
for the
older
rebellion.
general, or not general, but
Yeah, the redhead guy.
mhm.
For him to tell Luthen, like, hey, this is important. I have actually been tapping Dedra's files for years now.
Mm.
And then for it to find out that the reason that he finds that out is because Dedra has not been reporting that she has been taking files that do not belong to her and
Yeah.
not her section. So she is, but she doesn't discover this, but the spy does. And he is really looking through these files to find out that they are actually building a super weapon
Mhm.
and they're building the Death Star. And Luthen has to take him out. I think is great. It's very on brand for him, keeping him alive, even with the constant reminders that his wife and kid, he's got a wife and kid at home, wife and kid, they're safe. What do I need to get them off world? We need to hide. Doesn't matter to Luthen. I think is just brilliant. They get to this point where like
It weirdly makes you despise him at the same time.
Luthen, and
Yeah.
that's what makes him such a great character, dude. He's kind of like polar opposites of Dedra because you kind of root for Dedra, but you're not, and you root for Luthen, but you're also like, should I be rooting for Luthen?
Yeah.
Like they really blur the lines, and that's what Rebellion is. And I think it's handled so well.
Makes people
And
ugly, man.
the whole hospital scene of Kayla breaking into the hospital is so good. It makes you think of like when it was going on, my thought was the moment in Rogue One where Cassian tells the Rogue squadron that leaves, make 10 men feel like 100. And that's what she does in that moment. And it makes that just that little throwaway line that they put in the trailer means so much more because that's what this whole show was about, was how he was one man making it feel bigger than it was to
Mhm.
the Empire. Her backstory of being just abandoned, hiding, found, join me, him being like, we don't have time for this, let's leave. And she's like, no, I want to see this. And it's like, it's her seeing what rebellion is and what
Mhm.
happens and what the Empire is. is just so good, to then her breaking down, calling for help, or because she knows what's happening and they have to get these plans out, and Cassian comes and gets him. You get the great battle in the apartment. K2SO coming in to save the day. When K2SO held that man up as a human shield, I was like, let's go. I've been
Yeah.
waiting for this. Like, you've been wondering where K2SO is going to really play a part in this show. And
Yeah.
they
Yeah.
give him, and it makes it work so well. Like, we don't really need to fall in love with him, I think, and they give him such great moments. I loved it, but you
I
seem not to have loved it as much.
I disagree a little. Like, yes, that moment is awesome, like for sure. I do think it is a bit disappointing that K2SO didn't have like a bit more involvement throughout the show, just because to me, watching Rogue One, it felt like that was a relationship between him and Andor that
It
was
is,
worth
yeah,
like having a bit more meat to it.
yeah,
But definitely he has very good moments at the finale, so
yeah.
at least there's that.
And I mean, if we have to blur the lines somewhere with these year jumps, I think the one that I'm okay with, that I think they prominently give us, is that Cassian and K2 have a year together where they become this strong bond. If that's the one thing I have to accept I didn't see, I think I'm okay with it.
There's a lot more important themes to this
Yeah,
story that
yeah,
needed to have focus on compared to whether he likes the robot or not. So yeah,
exactly. There's a
yeah,
fun moment I read with who plays K2SO again? What's his name?
Alan Tudyk,
Alan Tudyk. When Alan Tudyk,
you
he was
legend,
like,
you.
I showed up on set and I made sure everybody knew that I was in the original Rogue One. Okay, that I'm a big time. He was like being sarcastic about it.
Meanwhile,
He was
everyone
being
else
pretty
has
funny.
been shooting about or has been shooting themes about rebellion and fascism and
Yeah,
are just like, dude, we're tired. You were on Resident Alien last week. Shut up.
but man, the moment where Dedra gets put into a similar style prison as Cassian from season 1, that ultimately is end up making really important pieces out of the material on Gorman that goes
Yeah,
into the actual final piece of the Death Star.
her breakdown, man.
Yeah. Oh man, it's so good. The
Yeah.
moment, honestly, it's what's crazy is like the show, for the little he's in it. What's his face? Ben Mendelsohn. For the little his character's in it.
Oh yeah, 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 yeah.
Why can't I? A Krennic. The little
Mm-hmm.
Krennic's in it. They do more with him that makes him more fearful to me in this season of the show than in Rogue One. He is a little campy in Rogue One. He's a little bit of a goof
Oh.
in Rogue One. And I mean, I've read Catalyst, which is about him and his relationship to Galen or so, which helped. But
Mm.
I think like what's cool about Andor season 2 is we get to see Krennic as the actual big boss of all the characters we're following. In Rogue One, he's not. We get to see
Mm.
Vader and other higher ups like Tarkin, CGI put aside, but
Yeah.
we get to see that he isn't the high player, but here he is. I mean, we get all these awesome moments. I mean, Anton Lesser's character as Major how do you say it? Pargaz, the ISB kind of head who I loved for some weird reason, who's always just like, go on, continue, please, go. Like he's just helping Dedra with all this stuff. His
Yeah.
ending being told like, hey, this is how this is going down with you. Like you're going to be arrested, but you're such a higher up and respected. He takes his own life. Like that is, I think that's a great ending. Heartbreaking with Dedra. Like everybody got a moment, man. Cassian's going off for where we know where he's headed. Like everything ends just the right way. It's just awesome.
Yeah, I'm fine with it being a 2-season show.
Me
I
too.
don't need any more. I just
Yeah.
think this whole writing team just did a great job at highlighting the themes of what is prevalent throughout Star Wars on a more human, grounded, dark level compared to having like the pop that Star Wars does most of the time, which is fine too. There's always there's always ways to like make Star Wars different for everyone, but it's a very great example of how you can do it in those types of formats and those types of structures with those types of themes. So yeah, I need to eat my words from like 5+ years ago of thinking this is silly to do this show, but hey, it's great. It's an
It's
awesome show.
nice to go into what has been a very poorly skeptical looking Star Wars for the last handful of years of like everything that comes out. It's like, am I going to love it? And it's really nice to have something again like the first season of Mando where it really does kind of hit hard, and even
Mm-hmm.
more for Andor.
Mm-hmm.
But we'll end it there. So guys, what did you think of Andor season 2? All spoilers around. So comment below, let us know. We really want to engage in this conversation. Andor is awesome. I hope we talk about it even more.
Sure, we
Thank
will.
you for watching. Thanks to Movie Meal patrons. And as always, thanks for watching, Mom.
See you guys.